Right now, somewhere in your bathroom, there is a box of tampons or pads or a menstrual cup sitting in a drawer. You bought it at a store. You did not think twice about it. It is just there the same way toilet paper is just there. But for 99.9% of human history, none of that existed. No pads, no tampons, no pharmacy on the corner. For over 300,000 years, every woman who ever lived dealt with the same biological reality using nothing but whatever she could pull from the ground beneath her feet. So what did they actually do? The answer reshapes everything we assume about the female body, about ancient life, and about a biological cycle that most of human history barely even experienced. Let me take you on a journey into the bloody truth of our past, a journey that will make you see your own body differently, a journey that will make you angry and hopeful and proud all at the same time. Ancient women had far fewer periods than modern women, often only 50 to 100 periods in an entire lifetime compared to around 450 today. Stop right there. Read that number again. 50 to 100 lifetimes. That is not a typo. That is the scientific reality of the female body. Before agriculture, before cities, before kings and taxes and grocery stores. 450 is what a modern woman endures. 450 times bleeding, 450 times cramping, 450 times buying products, hiding stains, and pretending nothing is wrong. The difference is not small. The difference is an abyss, and the implications of that abyss are only now being understood by scientists who dare to ask the question no one wanted to ask. What if the way we live now is the real abnormality? Girls in prehistoric hunter-gatherer societies usually started menstruating later around age 16 or even 17 because low body fat and limited calories delayed puberty. Imagine a 16-year-old girl in the Ice Age. She has been running through forests her whole life. She's been eating nuts and berries and the occasional piece of cooked meat. Her body fat is low. Her muscles are lean. Her energy is spent on survival, not on storing fat for reproduction. Her first period does not come at 11 or 12 like a modern girl raised on dairy and sugar and processed food. Her first period comes when her body finally has enough resources to support a pregnancy. That is the body being smart. That is the body being conservative. That is the body saying, not yet, not yet, not yet. And when that first period finally arrives, it is an event. It is a rite of passage. It is a signal that the tribe can now count on another fertile woman. But here is the part that will blow your mind. That first period is also nearly her last for a long, long time. Frequent pregnancies and years of breastfeeding naturally stop ovulation and menstruation for long periods. A girl in a hunter-gatherer band would get pregnant soon after her first period. There was no contraception. There was no waiting for the right career or the right partner. There was just the biological drive to reproduce and the social structure that celebrated it. She would conceive. She would carry the baby. She would give birth usually in a squatting position surrounded by other women. Then she would breastfeed that child. And not just for a few weeks or months. She would breastfeed for 3 or 4 years. That long nursing period did something remarkable. It triggered a powerful hormonal state called lactational amenorrhea. Breastfeeding triggered lactational amenorrhea, a hormonal state that suppressed fertility and periods. The baby suckling at the breast sent signals to the mother's brain. Those signals told the pituitary gland to stop releasing the hormones that trigger ovulation. No ovulation meant no egg. No egg meant no period. No period meant no bleeding for years at a time. The mother would nurse her child day and night. The child would sleep next to her. The child would feed on demand. And for 3 or 4 beautiful, uninterrupted years, her womb would rest. No cramps, no blood, no hassle. Then the child would wean. And within a few weeks or months, her period would return. And she would get pregnant again. And the whole cycle would repeat. From her first period to her last, a woman might bleed only 50 times or 100 times. That is not a theory. That is the demographic reality of every pre-industrial population studied by anthropologists. Now let me contrast that with the modern woman. A modern girl gets her first period at 12. She uses disposable products from the start. She goes to school. She plays sports. She hides her pads in her backpack. By 18, she might go on birth control pills to regulate her cycle or stop her period entirely. By 25, she might still not have children. By 35, she might have 1 child or 2. She might breastfeed for 6 months if she is lucky. Then she goes back to work. Her period returns almost immediately. And it keeps coming month after month after month. By the time she reaches menopause at 51, she has ovulated around 450 times. 450 cracks in the ovarian surface. 450 chances for something to go wrong. 450 reminders that her body is not living the way it was built to live. Ancient women used natural materials like moss, grass bark fibers, animal skins, and cloth scraps to absorb menstrual blood. Let me paint you a picture of an ancient woman on her bleeding day. She walks into the forest alone or with her sisters. The ground is soft and damp under her feet. She reaches down and pulls up a handful of sphagnum moss. That moss is naturally absorbent. It can hold 20 times its weight in water. She squeezes the moss to remove the excess moisture. She fluffs it with her fingers. She lays it against her body and holds it in place with a strip of animal hide or a woven belt made from plant fibers. That is her pad. That is her technology. It costs nothing. It leaves no waste. It returns to the earth when she is done. In other regions, women used soft grass woven into small pillows. In colder climates, they used shredded bark from cedar or poplar trees. Bark fibers were soaked and beaten until they became soft like cloth. In the Arctic, women used softened caribou hide or sea mammal skins. In the desert, they used dried yucca leaves or cotton lint from wild plants. Every culture found a solution. Every woman made do with what the land provided. And none of them felt poor or ashamed because of it. This was simply the way things were done. Some cultures used no absorbent products at all and allowed menstrual blood to flow naturally. This is hard for a modern mind to grasp. We have been trained to see menstrual blood as something that must be contained at all costs. But in many ancient societies, women simply let the blood fall. They would sit on a patch of bare earth. They would stand over a bed of leaves. They would walk to a stream and let the water carry the blood away. They did not see this as dirty because they understood that blood is organic. Blood is natural. Blood returns to the soil just like the blood of a hunted animal or the blood of a woman giving birth. In some cultures, women wore special bleeding skirts made of leather or woven grass. The skirt would catch the blood and the blood would dry in the sun. At the end of her period, she would wash the skirt in a river or beat the dried blood out against a rock. No waste. No chemicals. No plastic. Just the cycle of life moving through the cycle of the seasons. Menstrual blood was not always viewed as dirty or shameful. Many societies treated menstruation as spiritually significant. Let me tell you about the Yurok people of California. They believed that a menstruating woman possessed great power. She could bless a fishing net. She could heal a sick child. She could drive away evil spirits. Her blood was not a curse, it was a medicine. In ancient Rome, the natural historian Pliny the Elder wrote that a menstruating woman could protect crops from hail and caterpillars. He was not mocking her. He was recording a widespread belief in her supernatural potency. In Hindu traditions, the goddess Kamakya bleeds every year during the Ambubaki Mela festival. The temple closes for 3 days and then reopens to celebrate the goddess's menstrual cycle. Thousands of pilgrims come to receive the red cloth that has touched her blood. This is not shame. This is worship. In ancient Egypt, women used menstrual blood in love spells and protective rituals. In ancient Greece, women gathered during their periods to perform rites for Demeter, the goddess of agriculture and fertility. The thread running through all these cultures is the same. Menstrual blood was seen as a source of life, not a source of disgust. Menstrual huts or lodges in many cultures functioned as places for rest, social bonding, and recovery rather than punishment. The modern imagination has turned the menstrual hut into a symbol of oppression. We imagine women being banished to a cold, dark shack while the men laugh and feast. That is a colonial lie. That is a patriarchal distortion. The truth is far more beautiful. Among the Mi'kmaq people of eastern Canada, the menstrual lodge was called the Wigwam of the Moon. Women went there to rest from their daily labor. They went there to share dreams and stories. They went there to teach young girls about their bodies. They went there to escape the demands of men and children. No cooking.